Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Lock Shoppers, what's up? It's Thursday. Nielsen and Huss with you once again. Hopefully you're enjoying getting basically daily content from the Lock Shop. Wouldn't be possible without our wonderful partners at Coolbet. Sign up for an account today. Use the code LOCKSHOP. 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. And Huss, I found that hat I was talking about. Look at this bright white Coolbet hat. How's it look?
It looks wonderful, Dusty. We're so used to
Thanks.
the beautiful look of the colored one. You have the polar bear on the polar bear lid, all white. It's like the Bengals uniform last Thursday.
That is what it looks like. Hey, and when you go 4-0 last Thursday, you got to follow it up with the look. So we've got that going for us. Hey, if you're watching on the live stream, subscribe to the podcast. Just search The Lock Shop on all your podcasting platforms. We would appreciate the sub over there. And hey, if you got to play tonight for the Thursday Nighter and you're watching right now, you want to chime in and be a part of the podcast, part of the show, hit us up. Just get into the Say Something part on Twitter and let us know who you like tonight. And Huss, interesting game. We're going, and we'll get to our picks in a bit, but no Jonathan Taylor, no Javonte Williams. One of my buddies at work today was just like, I'm that guy that has Javonte and Jonathan Taylor, so I hate tonight's game. I was like, oh, you poor bastard. Not good.
Yeah. I mean, the two biggest injuries really at the running back position coming out of last week, both would have been going head to head in prime time tonight, and they're both out. It's an interesting matchup. I mean, both of these teams have stunk so far this year. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. I mean, starting off with the Colts somehow scraping through with a tie, and then, of course, winning their lone game, being 1-2-1 coming into this one. And as disappointing as they've been, I think the Broncos have maybe been more disappointing because of how high the expectations were for Denver coming into this season. Neither of these teams have been particularly good so far this year.
Well, let's get right into it because we're going to go head to head. Now, the numbers have moved around a little bit. Unless you did you buy a point or, because I see the numbers have moved a little bit. Was it 3.5 this morning for you? Because it's 3 right now.
Yeah, it was 3.5. It was 3.5 at -118. And the plus 3.5 or minus 3.5 for Denver was even money. Now that number's -120. And if you want to take Denver -3.5, it's plus 102. I think this sort of makes sense. If you're on Denver, I mean, your options are -3 at -114 or -3.5 at plus 102. To me, the value of that half point in a game like this is so much. I would far rather, lay -118 and get the half point when I'm getting the points. But from your perspective, I think if you're on the home side, unless you think this is going to be a blowout, much safer to at least have the potential of a push on a 3-point game as opposed to losing by a half point. And really the difference is not big right now. And for folks, if you're on Coolbet, and honestly, it just depends on when you load it up, whether you're going to see 3.5 or 3. Like I'm seeing 3.5 right now, but sometimes it'll be on 3. You just click that little bit on the side and there are adjusted point spreads. This really is an adjustment. The line essentially is just going in between 3.5. And I think depending on which side you are, get the best number that makes the most sense for you, depending on which side. And obviously, if I'm taking the points with the road favorite, I don't mind paying a little bit more for the extra half point, because as I said, we're going to get into this when we talk about totals and whatnot. I mean, there's nothing really that stands out about either of these teams that says that they'll run away with this game. I mean, I had a real tough time coming down and making the pick. I mean, listen, this is Denver, home field, but coming off that loss to the Raiders, and even the wins they've had this year, Dusty, have been so underwhelming. Yeah. I just have a hard time laying, more than 3 points on Denver really to beat anybody. And I don't know. The Colts have been such a disappointment so far this season. Although, I mean, shout out to the Titans. I mean, I was on them and actually hit them on the money line last week as well with that big win. They need a bounce back. Both of these teams are desperate for a win and desperate to start getting some positive momentum going forward. And that's why, while it might not be the best game, it's certainly a really interesting game for two teams that, desperately need a win to get going in the right direction. And a loss in this game with the extra long time before the following game, I think puts either of these teams in a really, really bad spot for heading into the midpoint of the season.
Yeah, it might not be the game that we're going to remember for the rest of the season, but this is a game that's extremely important for both of these clubs. And I did look, actually, and if you want, I mean, you can move it all the way down to 2.5, so you win with field goal with Denver. But it's minus 148. That's a big jump to get it down to 2.5, and obviously get that extra half point.
Yeah.
So I'm going to settle in here, Denver at -3. And Huss, I just, at least they got something going offensively. Like, that's one thing that they can say they've done. First 3 games of the year, didn't really have a sniff going offensively. The Colts are 4 games in, haven't really had a sniff going offensively. At least Denver can say they've put up over 30 points in a football game. Hell, the Colts haven't even put up over 20 points yet. They've got to 20 points twice, but they haven't even scored more than 20 points in a football game yet this year. So I'm going to be on Denver -3 here after getting some momentum. Didn't lead to a win, but got some momentum offensively. Yes, you lose Javonte, and you have to rely a little bit more on old fumbleitis there and Melvin Gordon, but you're still rolling Jerry Jeudy. You're still rolling Cortland Sutton. And you still have Russell Wilson, who, as average as he has looked, he's looked a hell of a lot better than Matt Ryan so far this year. So they are at home. I think the Colts are a tire fire right now. I'm going to take Denver -3.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to have a tough time sitting here on the lock shop and telling you all the reasons why I'm so confident taking Indy. This is essentially on my side, taking the Colts in the +3.5. is a non-confidence vote for both of these teams, but especially Denver. And you mentioned scoring points. Well, they didn't score 30 points, but they gave up 30 points last week to a winless Raider team right now. And
yeah, that's true.
I don't know everything about them, although they did finally crack 20, which I think is important. But that kind of brings me to the total right now. And I got in at under 42.5 earlier. And right now that number's minus 114. The over at 42.5 is minus 103. And then what is really weird is right now, if you're taking over, it's minus 103 for 41.5, and it's minus 103 for 42.5. So if you're taking the over, get it to plus 41.5. And I'm not sure whether that's a glitch or just a great opportunity to get in right now. Anyways, bottom line is I'm taking the under in this game. I don't have a lot of confidence in either of these offenses, especially now that probably their 2 biggest weapons in the backfield are gone on both sides. Now, we'll see what happens. I'm sure Nyheim Hines, from a fantasy perspective, will probably get a few more touches, a few more balls. We'll see what happens with Mike Boone and Melvin Gordon in that background. Bottom line is, I just don't think either of these teams are going to be exploding for a ton of points right now. So I'm going against myself. I was just looking at our records and our picks for the first 4 weeks. Yeah. I've taken the over on every Thursday nighter so far. I'm now on team under in this game tonight between Indy and Denver. Under 42.5 right now. It's at minus 114.
Yeah, my bad on Denver over 30. It was 23. My mind back last week, it was 33-32 game, but it was actually a 32-23 game. What's that reverse number thing? That's what happened to me in that situation. I'm with you. I mean, I like the under. You mentioned it's sitting at the 41 now. I like it at 42.5. Not sure I love it at the 41. So I'm just gonna. And we've had some success with these individual team totals, Huss. So I'm gonna circle back around here, and I'm gonna take the Colts under 19.5 because, like I said, they've got to 20 twice. One led to a tie, and was the other one their win? Was the other game with 20? Was that their win? Where's
the Colts?
Yeah, 20. Yeah, the Colts. No wonder I can't remember it. Why? How in the world did they beat the Colts? That still doesn't make sense to me. But you're telling me that they're going to have their best offensive game against a Denver Broncos defense that allows 170 yards passing per game so far this year. And I know they're a little bit banged up, but they are still going to cause nightmares for Matt Ryan, which is kind of contradicting my next pick, but I'll explain that in just a second. But I'm on the Colts under 19.5 points tonight. It pays minus 109. And while I don't mind the under, I think we're both going to hit on this, to be honest with you. I see this being a 24-13-ish type of game, in my opinion. So I'm going to get on the Colts here under 19.5, and I think we both cash our total plays.
Yeah, it is funny how I have just completely erased the whole Colts win over the Kansas City Chiefs from history going forward. I mean, it doesn't even get mentioned right now, but because it was such a bizarre game. And I mean, I watched every play of that football game. Indy did nothing that showed like, oh, wow, they're back. This is a great performance. The Chiefs just were terrible, made a ton of mistakes, inexcusable, missed field goals, fake field goals with no kicker. For a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty to turn a 4th and 30 into a 1st and 15 that led to the winning touchdown. It was a complete mess. And then we saw what happened with Indy last week against Tennessee right now. So, yeah, not a lot of faith in anybody in this game, but I do think that Matt Ryan is going to get back to targeting Michael Pittman Jr. A lot in this game. And I'm going to take the over 63.5. Now, you'll sort of get to this with the completions. There is the possibility that they're playing catch up, that they're down big time. And this could be an over that we get in the fourth quarter and somewhat in garbage time. But with Taylor out, I think that the priority right out of the gate is going to be get the football to Michael Pittman. He had 6 targets last week, which I believe was a season low. I expect that to get into double digits. So I'm going to take Michael Pittman over 63.5 yards. And then my other prop tonight is essentially a fade of both of these offenses. Denver's been horrible in the red zone. Indy hasn't been much better. Now, I guess this is contingent on them actually moving the football enough so they get into field goal range. But I like this. I like this total plus 120 on over 3.5 field goals tonight. And that sort of goes hand in hand with the total being under for the game. I'm kind of fading touchdowns, fading.
I love that. I love that field goal play, buddy.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if there's not 4 field goals in this game.
Well, and the thing is, as I said, it's more than plus money right now. It is plus 120 for field goals.
Where are they kicking? Where are they kicking right now? Like plus money on over 3.5? Come on.
Yeah, in Denver. So anyways, I really like that one tonight. That'll be a fun one just to, and again, I don't have a lot of fantasy exposure in this game. So let's go kickers. Over 3.5 field goals tonight at a juicy plus 120, along with my Pittman over 63.5.
I'm riding with you 100% on the field goals, and I want all of the lock shoppers and cool bettors to do it as well, so we can all be pumped every time they kick a field goal tonight. Like, I want to be like, field goal, like we want it. All we need is 4. It's going to happen.
I guess I pretty much have to make that the lock shop daily pick of the day today.
Yeah,
okay, I will.
Yeah.
By the way, I had to dig deep yesterday with all the early baseball games. Shout out to Hurricane Ian for rescheduling the SMU UCF game on a Wednesday night to give me something for the daily pick. And I won't say this was a heavily researched selection, but the bottom line is it cashed. We're 2-0. I guess 2-0 and a push because Tuesday's pick was wiped out when that game was rained out. But
what were you the week before, Huss? Were you 4-1 the week before?
I was 3-2. I was 3-2. You were 4-1 last week.
Yeah, so that's 7-3, 9-3 in our last 12 plays of the day. So you might want to be following the Cool Bet social accounts because that's not bad. 9-3. I think we'll take that. Okay, so Matt Ryan over 19.5, and you say, well, Dusty, he throws the ball a ton. And that's without Jonathan Taylor. So he's going to throw the ball a ton. Does it lead to a bunch of points? Not necessarily. But without Jonathan Taylor, you can run Nyheim Hines between the tackles if you want. But how do they like to get the ball to Nyheim Hines? Check down city, screens, all that. Like there's going to be 5 or 6 passes to Nyheim Hines tonight that are probably behind the line of scrimmage just to try to set him up to make some plays after the catch. So I think 3 of his 4 games, I had his game log up. Let me give you this. Let me just bring back up Matt Ryan's game log because it was something like 3 of his 4 games he's completed. I don't know if it's 37 or he's attempted 37. Give me one sec here. Yeah, so 3 of his 4 games, he's completed at least 27. 27 of 37, 27 of 37, 32 of 50. And then in that shutout to Jacksonville, he only completed 16 passes. So without Jonathan Taylor, I would think that number goes up even more. So I'm on Matt Ryan over 19.5 completions. It's like minus 160. Not a great number, but that's something that should certainly cash. And then I'm going to get on Jerry Jeudy over 52.5 yards. I do think they're able to move the ball. Probably willing to go a little bit more through the air now without Javonte Williams. Nothing against Mike Boone or Melvin Gordon, but I think that's just natural that you look to throw the ball a little bit more. things started well last week for Cortland Sutton, but in the second half of that game, when they were really starting to press, I do believe the focus turned to Jerry Jeudy in that offense. So this is a game where they should be desperate. There's no doubt about it. Both of these teams should. But I'm going to roll with Jerry Jeudy here, over 52.5 yards receiving tonight, Huss.
Yeah, listen, I think that there's some real value in that. In the receiver numbers, I mean, I am not expecting, unless this Mike Boone comes in and turns into a fantasy darling right off the bat, I don't have any confidence in Melvin Gordon to do anything other than potentially put the ball on the carpet and cost his team. So I think this is going to be on Russell Wilson to get out there and cook, as they say. And I think getting Jerry Jeudy in, as well as Cortland Sutton, who I think is a stud, that they still haven't really hit that real chemistry yet. But I think Jeudy, to be honest, has been more of a go-to guy more consistently right now for Russell Wilson. And that total is pretty low at 52.5, considering I think
Cortland Sutton 63, 64 or something like that. And to me, they're almost the same type. They should be in that same range, I think, personally. So, yeah. I like the value on Jeudy over 52.5 more. And I'm a Cortland Sutton guy. I got him in a bunch of leagues, but I'd be more comfortable. I am more comfortable. That's why I went with Jeudy over 52.5 as opposed to like 11, 12, 13 more yards for Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, no doubt. As they say, I mean, there's plenty of options tonight on this game, but I think, we identify a couple receivers that we think that are going to get some more action right now with the running backs being out, and no confidence that either of these teams are going to be good enough to put up big numbers to get the over on the total.
Hey, just quickly, I'm not too sure if you were monitoring this number earlier in the week, but to me, and maybe the number was set because Taylor was banged up, but since he'd been officially ruled out, there wasn't that much of a swing on this game, was there? Like a half point, maybe a point, like maybe nothing.
I mean, to be honest with you, it really hasn't changed at all. It's just been a little bit more expensive on the Colts, with the 3.5, like with the hook. I at the start, I kind of thought that Denver would be a bigger favorite in this game. Like I was expecting it to be 4 or 4.5.
So was I.
But as I said, I mean, I think when you look at Denver's body of work so far, they're not inspiring a lot of confidence. I mean, you come from that dog win against the Niners in the 11-10 game. And then, I mean, the way they looked last week, getting run all over by the Raiders, who hadn't beaten anybody this season, I think what makes people pretty nervous back in the Broncos right now, even in Denver, even with Russell Wilson. So, listen, we're going to go for a low-scoring game tonight. I hope it's close, but we'll see what happens at the end. And, of course, tomorrow, Dusty, you should quickly look. You got any leans on these wild card series that get going tomorrow? We got 4 baseball games tomorrow beginning at 11 in the morning.
Buddy, I've been so focused on getting our CFL picks ready, getting NFL picks ready. I haven't even had a chance to really dive into the baseball plays just yet. What about you? I mean, you've probably got a lean or two, don't you?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm pretty excited about the Blue Jays, and it's a bit of a homer pick. I know that CoolBet does have a home sweep home prop right now on the exclusives page at plus 185 if you think they'll win the first 2 games. Listen, I haven't seen a ton of Seattle so far this season. Pretty great story that they're finally back playing a meaningful postseason game for the first time in forever. But I'll be back in the Blue Jays, I think. Right now, the game tomorrow with Manoah on the hill, Blue Jays at minus 143. That's pretty much the biggest favorite. Oh, I guess the Mets are minus 147 in. As far as the series go, because we do have series totals for everybody, Jays minus 169, Mariners plus 140. And the closest one for sure is the Cleveland-Tampa series. That's going to be the early game tomorrow. Cleveland minus 115 and the Tampa Bay Rays minus 104. And just while we're at it on CoolBet, let's just quickly check the MLB Futures. Jays right now 12-1 to win the World Series. Dodgers are the favorite at 3. Astros plus 450. Braves 5. Yankees 6. Mets 11. Jays 12. I'll be honest. The Jays are a team that could get hot and go on. Exactly. The Jays,
just a little sprinkle.
We're going to be watching. We're going to be cheering for them anyway.
Wait, are we going to watch the Jays win the World Series and not cash in at 12-1? I'd never be able to live with myself.
No, me neither. So listen, that is a play, a go Jays go play at 12-1. And if you do like them to win the first 2 games and move on in 2, plus 185 in the CoolBet exclusives right now.
There you go. So a little Major League Baseball stuff for you on Friday. We'll be back on Friday as well. Our best bets for Week 5 in the National Football League. Make sure you are watching for that. Then Saturday, player prop and parlay Saturday, which should be a good one as well. And if you're looking, I had some people text in to the Smash Hit Nielsen show this morning saying, when's the Lock Shop NHL Futures episode coming? I said, we'll get it to you on the weekend. So be ready for that as well. We got a lot to do, Huss. Let's just say that.
This is a fun time of year when it comes to sports and when it comes to wagering. It's all there at CoolBet. Use the promo code LOCKSHOP for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. And join us tomorrow. Our favorite 4 picks against the spread for Week 5 in the NFL, my favorite show of the week.